And for that girl backstage, make it perfectly clear. Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
We begin our 8 o'clock hour with breaking news. These 4 Americans abducted in broad daylight in Mexico have been found. Sadly, 2 of them are dead. 1 was wounded. 1 person was unharmed. It's not clear where or how they were found. The group was kidnapped Friday at gunpoint after they traveled to Matamoros across the border from Brownsville, Texas. Based on receipts, the FBI says 1 of the Americans went to Mexico for a medical procedure. They've been identified as Zindell Brown, Eric James Williams, and cousins Latavia Tay McGee and Shahid Woodard. They were all from South Carolina. Authorities believe a Mexican cartel likely mistook them for Haitian drug smugglers.
2 of them are safely back on U.S. soil. The other 2 are dead. The victims were found in a rural area east of the northern Mexico border city of Matamoros. The other 2 survivors were returned to the U.S. Tuesday. Mexican officials say 1 of them was injured. Omar Villafranca is in Brownsville, Texas, with the latest.
2 Americans who survived being caught in a shootout and kidnapped by cartel gunmen were taken to a hospital in Brownsville, Texas today. Mexican authorities found Latavia McGee and Eric Williams at a stash house outside the city of Matamoros after gunmen moved them to multiple locations to avoid capture. It was the end of a road trip for cosmetic surgery. McGee, Williams, along with their close friends Shahid Woodard and Zindell Brown, traveled last week from South Carolina to Matamoros so McGee could have cosmetic surgery. This video shows the moment when they were kidnapped at gunpoint after being caught in a shootout between rival cartel gangs. Here you see McGee being forced into the back of a pickup truck by armed men, with others who appear hurt, also dragged and loaded onto the truck bed. Woodard and Brown were killed. Traveling abroad for medicine and medical procedures is common. More than 1 million Americans traveled to Mexico for health tourism last year, spending about $250 million. 38-year-old Williams, a husband and father, was shot in the leg but is expected to survive. We talked to his wife, Michelle, moments ago from North Carolina. She didn't want to show her face, but says she talked to her husband today.
Did he tell you anything about that moment at all?
No, we didn't discuss it because it was to hear his voice. It was just a lot of crying. My son was there, and my son just wanted to hear his voice. And then he had to go because he was going into the hospital.
CBS News has learned that McGee had been to Mexico before for cosmetic surgery. Investigators are blaming the Gulf Cartel for this incident, and Mexican authorities have also announced that a 24-year-old has been arrested in connection with this attack. John?
Omar, is there any word on the recovery of the deceased victims and bringing them back to the United States?
That's going to be a government process. We're trying to figure out exactly the timetable for it, but when there's deceased in one country, moving it back to the U.S., and obviously there's going to be some machinations involved, that will take some time, but we're expecting it to be soon.
And how are people reacting to this incident on the U.S. side of the border?
Well, some of them aren't really surprised. As a matter of fact, we had a pastor tell us that there are kidnappings, hundreds of kidnappings on the Mexican side all the time, but they're usually Mexican nationals, and it doesn't get the attention of the American media. So it's one of those things where they're aware that it happens, but the people here in Brownsville who cross over into Matamoros, many do it daily. They either work over there or they go eat over there and shop daily. They're not worried about what happened there.
Omar Villafranca in Brownsville, Texas. Thank you, Omar.
Family members now scared the cartel might come to their small town.
That's right, Nicole. Earlier, I spoke with Michelle Williams, the wife of Eric Williams, one of the 2 who were kidnapped and survived. She said he told her not to appear on camera, and so we spoke by phone, and I have to say, the conversation raised more questions than anything else. Just a day after officials announced they rescued 2 of the 4 Americans who were kidnapped in Mexico, News Nation spoke with Michelle Williams, the wife of Eric Williams, who survived. When did you realize that there was some sort of issue?
When FBI came to my house.
When was that?
That was on Sunday morning.
And what did they say?
They wanted to confirm who he was, and that was he with them. And I did not know at the time that he was with them particular friends. I didn't even have any idea that they were even there.
Williams again told us she didn't know her husband had gone to Mexico. Where did he say where he was going initially?
He just said he was going with his friend and his cousin.
Did he say he was going to Mexico?
No, he did not. That's one thing he did not say.
Michelle did say she has been speaking to her husband periodically. What does he say about the whole incident?
He's heartbroken that the other 2 won't be coming home. Those are like his brothers. She is like his sister.
And still not sharing with his wife what went down this past Friday in Mexico.
He didn't want to get into detail. They went there for her to have cosmetic surgery.
And then all of a sudden they met, somehow got caught in the crossfire with these cartels?
Correct.
But despite having a successful surgery on both of his legs, he asked his wife not to appear on camera and not to come visit him at the hospital. Do you have any idea when you're gonna see your husband next, when he's due back here?
No, because he doesn't want us to come there.
Why, for fear of something related to the cartels?
Or something will happen to us here.
So he's worried that something would stretch back here to the East Coast.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know he doesn't want us there, and I do know he made it out of surgery and he's doing okay.
Meantime, here in Lake City, a small-knit community remembers the victims.
I knew the Williams guy. I coached him on football in Little League. Brown, I knew his family. They were good kids, and they families were from Lake City, and they were pretty good kids in the community.
It's just heartbreaking to know that kids from our community can't go somewhere and have a good time.
Now, I'm standing here in front of this church where in about an hour, members of the community will gather for a vigil and pray for the victims. I've spoken to some people here who already showed up. They said there's so much of this story that just doesn't add up. So many questions yet unanswered, Nicole.
Yeah, a lot that still doesn't add up here. All right, Rich, thank you.